Complete knowledge, an essential subject from Vinipedia. Complete knowledge of the absolute truth means to understand three features of the absolute truth. One feature is Brahman, impersonal. The next feature is Paramtm, localized. And the next feature is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one understands these three features of the absolute truth very perfectly, then he is in complete knowledge of the science of God. In the Bhagavatam it is said that human life is meant for inquiring about the absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations and letters offer a comprehensive presentation of this essential subject as seen in the Vinicote's complete knowledge category. An introduction from his books is given below in the following 16 quotes. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books. To work in Kaya consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Kaya consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Kaya consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Ka, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad Gita 5.29. The individual living entity never has complete knowledge. Otherwise, how could he have come under the control of My, or the material energy? Kaya Book, Chapter 87. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is complete transcendental knowledge, but according to the different processes of understanding he appears differently, either as impersonal Brahman, as Paramtm, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or as the Puru Avatra. Bhagavatam 3.32. 26. The purpose of all sacrifices is to arrive at the status of complete knowledge, then to gain release from material miseries, and, ultimately, to engage in loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord, Kaya consciousness. Nonetheless, there is a mystery about all these different activities of sacrifice, and one should know this mystery. Bhagavad Gita 4.33. The perfect spiritual concept of life is complete knowledge of one's constitutional position, in which one knows enough to dovetail himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. One must know that he is finite and that the Lord is infinite. Thus it is not possible to actually become one with the Lord even if one aspires for this. It is simply not possible. Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 3, Hearing and Chanting about the Transcendental Holy Name, Form, Qualities, Paraphernalia and Pastimes of Lord VU, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him, in other words, serving him with the body, mind and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Kaya through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Bhagavatam 7.5. 23-24. Persons who are in knowledge of the truth know that one who tries to approach the Absolute simply by mental speculation will ultimately realize the impersonal Brahman, and one who tries to approach the Absolute through yoga practice will be able to realize Paramtm, but one who has complete knowledge and spiritual understanding realizes the spiritual form of Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Kaitanya Karitam Ta, DLL 2.11. Pure devotees of the Lord are not very much concerned with philosophical speculation in regard to transcendental knowledge of the Lord, nor is it possible to acquire complete knowledge of the Lord. Whatever little knowledge they have about the Lord is sufficient for them because devotees are simply satisfied in hearing and chanting about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. This gives them all transcendental bliss. Bhagavatam 3.4. 16. Transcendental knowledge of the Absolute Supreme Being can be known if it is made known by the Lord himself. By the mental speculation of the greatest mundane thinkers, the Absolute Truth cannot be understood. The mental speculators can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman realization, but, factually, complete knowledge of transcendence is beyond the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Thus it is called the Supreme Confidential Wisdom. Bhagavatam 2.9. 31. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean. If we go deep, surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depths. Bhagavad Gita 18.55 Everything has its proper utility, and a man who is situated in complete knowledge knows how and where to apply a thing for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility, and how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 2.21 Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 7.2 One should try to live in the unlimited clear sky overflooded with the rays of the sun and moon. That is what we actually desire. A life of freedom in eternity, complete knowledge, and a blissful atmosphere is the heart's desire of an enlightened soul. We should undertake all sorts of penances and austerities to attain that permanent source of happiness. Light of the Bhagavad, Chapter 4 The life of a human being is a chance to prepare oneself to go back to Godhead or to get rid of the material existence, the repetition of birth and death. Thus in the system of Varama Dharma every man and woman is trained for this purpose. In other words, the system of Varama Dharma is known also as Santana Dharma or the eternal occupation. The system of Varama Dharma prepares a man for going back to Godhead, and thus a householder is ordered to go to the forest as Vinaprastha to acquire complete knowledge and then to take sannyasa prior to his inevitable death. Armad Bhagavatam 1.19 4. When complete knowledge of Krishna is realized, the bondage of the illusory energy, is automatically broken. Kaitanya Karitam Ta, Madhya LL 20.144 Knowledge of the constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and a posteriori, are consumed. Bhagavad Gita 4.37